The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual guests. If you're a sensitive snowflake that may get easily offended, then turn this off immediately. If you want to hear the real truth about the gun culture, then stick around. This is the Armed Citizen Podcast. What is going on, my Go Squad? Welcome to the Armed Citizen Podcast Live. Today is episode number 236. Today's date is Tuesday, April 5th, 2022. We are live on YouTube and on Facebook as always. If you're out there in the live chat, you do. If you want to call or text in, yes, you can call or text into the show. Utilize the Ghost Tactical Hotline presented by our good friends Rod and Shelly Gates at Aegis Gun Care. That phone number is 530-364-4678. If you're a veteran, really anyone, but especially if you're a veteran and you're in that hole, you're in the darkness, and you're looking for that light, call me, text me, email me 24/7. I cannot give you medical advice, but I sure as hell could probably be a decent ear to talk you through some stuff. If you are looking for someone to get you towards medical advice, remember two things. One, you're not alone in this fight. You have a lot of, and two, the world is a much better place with you in it. So I implore you, please utilize the Veteran Crisis Hotline. 1-800-273-8255. Once again, 1-800-273-8255, the Veteran Crisis Hotline. We are spotlighting, as always, the United States Marine Corps. If you have any questions on what it takes to earn the title United States Marine, see the website marines.com. And we are, as always, a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. So go check out all the great podcasts over on selfdefenseradio.net. Let's bring in our buddy who has been busy for the last weekend. He was over in Tulsa for the Wanamaker Tulsa Arms Show, along with some other of our buddies that were out there for sure. But as always, riding shotgun with us, the tactical leprechaun himself. What's up, Clove?
Hey, man. Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. I got a bit of a question. Can we start things off with a question?
Hey,
I want to poll it.
Let's do it.
I want to poll the audience. Oh, okay. Before we get to that, the shotgun of the week, right?
I was going to say, are we going to just completely skip over the shotgun of the week? But hey, it's your show.
We'll knock that out. We're going to talk about a shotgun with my question, but
all right.
So I'm going to go with one of the most affordable ones out there. Anybody should be able to pick this up pretty cheap. It's the Beretta Imperial Monte Carlo side-by-side 12 gauge.
Lord, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, and it's not but about $100,000. So,
$100,000. You probably saw it over the weekend, huh?
That's it. Go pick that up. If you see one for a little less than $100,000, you may want to jump on it because that's a bargain for sure. Yeah.
Snob probably had that rolling around in his pocket all weekend. So
right.
Yeah. So what's the question? Everything good? You sound like you just woke up.
Yeah, no, I just I had a doctor's appointment this morning. We won't get into it, but that always raises my blood pressure and everything else.
I had one this morning as well, so
we won't complain about going to the doctor because I think everybody understands exactly where I'm coming from. No, so I wasn't able to find either of the shotguns I was looking for at the show, right?
Okay.
So I put some feelers out online and some forums, some online, trading places. And there's a guy in Tucson, Arizona, that has one of them.
Not the guy we know in Tucson, Arizona.
No. But he'll come into play as part of the question. So hopefully everybody out there is paying attention. Pay attention, because you got to follow along with this. So I hit him up. He's an individual, not a dealer. This is not off broker or it's in no place, right, where there's any kind of trackable anything, really.
Okay.
A price I'm willing to pay.
Okay.
But I'm leery because it's like he was talking about using Zelle. I've never used Zelle. He talked about doing
Never,
PayPal friends, which, as we all know, we can't buy pews on PayPal. So I mean that's
sure.
obvious, but you're kind of screwed if you do things friends. So it's like I
Mm-hmm.
don't have any recourse, right? And
Right.
so I was thought about our mutual buddy in Tucson, which
Mm-hmm.
we obviously ship stuff back and forth all the time. And I was like,
Absolutely.
hey, how about you sell it to this guy, legal Arizona resident in the same city as you, minus basically the shipping cost, right?
Yeah.
You get cash on the spot, right?
Yep.
And I
Yep.
could, of course, then PayPal friends and
And
family or
PayPal our
whatever.
friends.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And, when he gets a chance, he can get around to getting a shipping quote, box it up, and send it to me, right?
Sure.
And this guy was like, no, I don't do face to face transfers, but, I'm reputable. I can give you references, this, that, and the other. So I told him politely that I'm just going to
Go
walk
shove it.
away, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if it doesn't, if you feel uncomfortable in anything like that, that's always been my modus operandi is walk
Yep.
away. And I'm not saying the guy is shady, but I don't feel comfortable. And it's because he can do everything right. But
Yep.
what if USPS, like USPS has never lost anything, or UPS, either one, right? What if
Yep.
they lose it, right? And then he's like, well, I shipped it, and then we got a whole big thing, and I've got absolutely no,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. So anyway,
Even mandatory carry says I don't do face to face, but I'm reputable. Seems legit.
yeah, that was weird, man. That was like, I mean, he didn't even entertain that idea or something. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah, no,
Real quick, we got a $5 super chat from Mandatory Carry. Appreciate it. Says long live Operation Anime Storm. Sorta. Okay. There you go. Appreciate the $5 super chat. You guys know we do not ask, nor do we encourage them. But if you guys are willing to part with some of your money, super chats go towards sending care packages downrange. Now, if you guys when you came in, you saw a pinned message. And I would say this, if you're willing to do so, they're doing a fundraiser for a couple of our buddies from the MARSOC 3 for some of their legal defenses. I put the link up there in a pinned message up there. If you're willing $1, anything helps to go support that. It'd be greatly appreciated. You can read up on them. They've got all information about the MARSOC 3 there on the website and all that. So you can do that. Now Joson said that, was it Zell or Zelly, whatever you said it was recently compromised. So that doesn't make me feel any better.
however you pronounce it. Yeah, I don't even know I don't know what it is. I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it before, so I don't know.
Now my wife and the kids and pretty much everybody use something else. I can't remember what, Venmo or something.
Venmo or the Cash App. I use a Cash App when I need to transfer money to my daughter or something. We use the Cash App.
I've heard you're not supposed to use any of those unless it's somebody you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, the only one I want to do it to is my daughter. I mean, I love you, bro, but I'm probably not gonna, aside from PayPal, I'm probably not gonna send you money somewhere else like that.
Yeah.
Not because it's used, because I don't know these other apps. That's just the way it is. Especially if someone that I don't know at all, and I'm, that just kind of seems a little shady to me. Now Buck out there was saying that $100,000 shotgun was sitting right next to his $35,000 lever action last year. So that's funny.
Lord,
that's funny. Yeah, Calavera says no face to face, walk away. Yeah, I'm the same way. It's one of those things where you're talking about private sales, and you and I have had this discussion a lot, and this will be kind of an interesting way to start the show and talk about private sales. And it's obviously where we live in both of our states, private sales are legal. That being said, it's just one of those things where I have an issue, and I know that you've had some transactions in the last 6 months or so. For some people that you don't know, but for me, if I don't know you, I at least want to see like a concealed carry, what do you call it, license, because in order to get that, you had to go through a background check, and if it's, obviously, if you have one of those, then you're illegal.
Yeah.
It's just to cover myself, and then I also will do a bill of sale. And I don't know. Once again, it's to cover both sides of the transaction. So we don't have to dive in too deep, but if you want to talk about it,
Yeah.
because you have had a couple transactions in the last few months, but
A bunch.
kind of
Yeah.
what do you go through when you're selling a gun
So,
with
so
someone that you don't know personally?
So most of the time it's through a forum. It's through something like usually like Texas Gun Trader, uh, or some type of social media communication that spawns from their email or something, right? And the first thing I do is I make sure I save all of that communication, without a doubt. And then on that is written the serial number, the price, and usually I throw it in Photoshop and do it, but the screenshot or whatever. But price, the day where we met, and like the make and color, whatever of the vehicle. I don't
Sure.
get too crazy, right? But some
Yeah.
information. So I
Enough
don't do a
enough to cover your ass if need
enough
be.
that if somebody knocked on my door, law enforcement officer, and said, "Hey, this gun was used in a crime," I can show them when it
Boom,
was
there it is.
sold, and
Yeah.
give them some kind of information, some kind of name, email address,
Yeah.
vehicle. They can run the database, the Texas registration, whatever database. They've got something to go on, right? Um, and the dash cam helps lately, um, because I could even do that. I have never done it, but I just now thought about maybe pulling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Footage of 'em, but I mean the make and model or whatever color works. Um, but I usually do that. But I'll be honest with you. I would say 90% or more of the people I meet, they offer, like
Yeah.
before we ever meet, they offer their license to carry.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, you
100%.
got it. If if they're offering their license to carry, it's like I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who's going to offer and not have it, right? That's dumb.
Yep. Well, the
That
reason
doesn't
why
make
I
sense.
brought up a bill of sale is because there's a lot of people out there with the mentality of it's a perfectly legal private transaction. I don't want anyone to have a paper trail of what's happened to my guns. And I get their argument. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. And I bring this up for one reason only, and you brought it up perfectly, whether you intended to or not. It is not necessarily for the government to have a paper trail of what you have. What it is there for is to protect you in the exact scenario that Clover brought up. What if that firearm is stolen down the road and used in a crime?
Mhm.
At least you have some sort of recourse to say, look, I get it. That's a tragedy. I'm sorry. But on April 1st of 2019, I sold it to John Smith. And here's a bill of sale. And when did
Yeah.
this happen? It happened 6 months ago. Well, I sold it 3 years ago, so you might want to contact him. Did he report it stolen or anything like that? Well, I don't know. Well, once again, I sympathize with the problem, but as of April 1st, 2019, this was no longer my problem, and
Yeah.
it backed you up.
Well, that's true, but I mean, it doesn't really take that much, and because let's be honest about
No.
it, if we're talking about you bought it used and you sold it used, and
Hmm.
then 8 used people later, it was used in a crime, you know what I mean?
Yep.
First of all, you would have to have bought it new probably or from a not new, you would have to bought it from an
From
FFL
an FFL,
for
yes.
them to even know be your name to even be on their radar, honestly.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
So, if you're talking about something that you bought used and was it's odds are it's you're never going to hear anything about it
No,
ever.
no, no. But that scenario, which is the
I
1% of
mean,
it ever happening,
maybe they pull a
you
fingerprint if somebody hasn't wiped it down or done something with it and they somehow come across you that way or something. I mean, there's
yeah,
always a possibility, right? So,
absolutely.
you want some information to cover your rear as much as possible, but
Yep.
yeah, at one upon a time, I pulled a bill of sale from one of the states that required it, and I can't
Mhm.
remember if it was Vermont or Connecticut or where it was. It was from one
Sure.
of the what am I thinking? New England states, right? And it was interesting because it was duplicate, right? And then you could just tear it in half, right? And they could keep one, and you could keep one. I'd go ahead and fill out on my part, and everything on the firearm and all that. All they basically had to do was write their
Sign it.
information down.
Yeah.
And I did that for a while, and then I got to thinking. I mean, you don't have to go through all of that, and I get why people don't like that. So simply having information, like I said, if you make note of where you met, and it was a red Chevrolet pickup, right? And you did something online where you've got an email address or even a name from like social media, then law enforcement, come on, 15 minutes tops. Law enforcement has the address, name and address, and everything else of that person. So,
Yep.
I don't see a bill of sale as being vital. If it makes you feel better,
It's
do it. I'm
not
not saying
vital.
don't.
It's absolutely not vital, but there are arguments for it.
Yeah.
And there are people out there that are on the opposite side of, I don't want the government in my business. There is a people on the opposite side that said, I want to cover my ass every which way I can because they're paranoid or whatever. And that's cool. If you are that person, then 100% do a bill of sale, 100%. Typically, if you live like where I live or where Clover lives, and we actually know the law enforcement guys pretty well, or the sheriff or whatever, and something like that happens, they can call and say, look, bro, even if I don't have a bill of sale, say, look, I sold that gun to so-and-so 3 years ago. Without a bill of sale, they'll say, all right, we'll go check that out.
Right.
And because they know that if it was stolen, I would have reported it stolen to my sheriff, or whatever, but I didn't report it stolen. I was like, look, bro, I sold it to Joe, 3 years ago. You might want to go check him out, and see if knows that it's even missing or whatever, but it's just something, like I said, guys, for ones that have never done a private transaction, it's something to think about. And if you're one of those people that don't want a paper trail, by all means, unless you're required to in your state, there's no reason to have a paper trail.
Yeah.
If you're that person that is worried about different things coming back to haunt, create a bill of sale. You can find them anywhere online, and that's up to you. You do whatever you feel like you need to do to cover whatever you want to get covered.
Yeah, I mean, some people, they don't have, the only insurance they carry is what's required by law, right?
Exactly.
Or they don't have homeowners insurance, or they don't have life insurance, right? It's like you don't have to have that. Same goes for some people. They, they don't drive over the speed limit at all, right?
Yeah,
They'll
sure.
intentionally go a couple of miles under the speed limit. They can drive the speed limit, and as well as I do, most of the time they can get away with 5 over easy, but they choose not to do it. So I get it. Different strokes for different folks. Do what you want to do,
to each their own. Absolutely.
For me, I just found it easier to cover myself on my end, but at the same time not get crazy with somebody that is against the whole paper trail idea, right? By breaking out a bill of sale, and they're like, oh, wait a minute, I don't know.
Now, Calaveras, now remember, guys, he lives in California. So let's just preface it by saying that. He says a private sale there in California requires FFL, and that FFL has to hold it for 10-day wait. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, all firearm purchases have a 10-day waiting period in California.
So basically, what he's saying is there's no such thing as a private sale.
There's no such thing, because that's not a private sale. If it has to go through an FFL and it's a 10-day wait, my friend, that's not called a private sale. That's called a transfer. That's an FFL transfer.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I might be mistaken because I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed.
You might be the shortest.
I'm definitely. I'm
it depends on what tools. So. Depends on what tools are in the shed. I'm just saying.
This is true. Yeah, there's a good chance that I'm the shortest, at least among the shortest. But that was a great story that you told about what happened. But you'd said there was a question. Now, either I'm not very smart or you never asked a question.
That was all in the form of a question.
Oh, okay.
Basically, what do folks think? I mean, I think
absolutely. I didn't know if there was a specific. Oh, I think you were right. Definitely shady as shit. I can get by with one thing that makes me feel kind of weird, because let's be honest, everyone's got something that's weird. I've
So
got things that I do that are weird, but when it's multiple things, and then when he says, I don't do face to face, but I'm reputable. I don't think, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. So I probably would have walked away too. So out there in the chat, let me know by pressing the number 1. I'm going to steal something from Clover. He does this quite a bit. Press the number 1 if you would have walked away from that sale. Press the number 1 if you would have walked away just like Clover did.
Or the
we'll
purchase.
I think most everybody probably would have walked away as well. Yeah. Let's go into before we jump in, we always do our polls. Every Thursday, Saturday, and Monday at 10 a.m. over on our YouTube community tab, we put out our polls. Oh yeah, it's absolutely everyone's saying 1. I'm surprised I didn't get a middle finger as a number 1, but that's what I would have done. I'm surprised I haven't gotten a middle finger emoji. I'm a little disappointed, guys. I'm a little disappointed. I do want to shout out Mr. FNH. He came in with the appropriate 1 yo greeting. We talk about this all the time. There's a channel out there that we're great friends with that requires a 3 yo greeting. I don't like a 3. That's way too much energy. That's too, I don't want to say polite, but maybe too classy. I like the yo or the yo. I'm all about a 1 or 2 yo hello. So thank you, Mr. FNH. He has been listening. Apparently, he went with the 1 yo greeting. Anyways, I digress. Let's go check out our polls. The first poll was last. Now, most of these polls are coming off of our marathon 3-hour fun chat we had last week, which actually was a blast. I didn't realize it went 3 hours, but we were talking movies and music and everything else. So I went ahead and put some polls out there. So now I understand, you guys have to understand, I only get 5 choices on these polls. And I get chastised every week. What about this? What about that? Dude, I get 5. I can't put 27 different choices on there. But the first question has about 1,000 votes. It says the best Western of all time. And your choices were The Outlaw Josie Wales, Rio Bravo, Silverado, Unforgiven, Butch Cassidy, and the Sundance Kid. Now, obviously, I got over 56 comments on this, and a lot of them were what they have to think. But of those five, what would you say is the best Western, Clove?
Of the 5, I go probably Unforgiven.
Unforgiven? Yeah, it's a great one. The vast majority of the comments were split between 2, and it was Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Actually 3. Good, Bad, and the Ugly, the original, not the remake, but the original True Grit, and The Searchers. The Searchers actually probably had the most comments.
No Tombstone, huh?
No Tombstone.
Wow.
Yeah, Wanky out there. He said, I wouldn't have blamed him if he walked away from what kind of sounded straw purchase like. Yeah. So Gary's a little disappointed that Blazing Saddles wasn't on the list.
Just to clarify, no, it wasn't, because it has to go through an FFL.
Right. FNH says, proud new member of the shooting club down the road. I'm so excited. I have 2 more properties to shoot on from now on. One of them's a 24-hour indoor range. That's awesome. Congrats, man. A 24-hour indoor range. I could do some damage at 4 o'clock in the morning, I think. Especially when you wake up at night and you're stressed out and you can't sleep for some reason. 2, 3 in the morning where you're sitting around watching old Gunsmoke reruns. I think I'll go to the range. That'd be pretty cool. So as far as the best Western goes, Outlaw Josie Wales is leading with 43%, Unforgiven at 24%, Butch Cassidy at 13%, and Rio Bravo and Silverado tied at 10%. So there you go. Our next poll, which I guess was Saturday, says, what is the best band of all time? Now, I put a little caveat in there, and I pinned a thing because I wanted people, and they still didn't read it because they're still blasting in the comments. Had over 50 comments again. these are the top 5 all-time selling bands. Okay. So it's not 5 bands that I just picked out of a hat and said, these are the 5 bands I'm giving you to choose from. These are the top 5 all-time best-selling bands. So by those numbers, your 5 choices were the Beatles, the Eagles, Queen, Zeppelin, and Floyd. Of those 5, Clove, what say you?
Her Majesty, of course.
Yeah, I figured you'd say Queen. I was a little surprised that, obviously, I was not surprised that the Beatles were the number 1. I mean, I think everyone knew that. I was surprised that the Eagles were the second all-time selling band. Queen was a third all-time selling band, Zeppelin the fourth, and Floyd was the fifth. A lot of comments, just all over the place. My third favorite band, my all-time favorite band is the Beatles. My second all-time favorite band is Pink Floyd. My third all-time favorite band I would have put on if I could have, and I was a little surprised. I was surprised that they weren't in the top 5 because they're legends, but the Beach Boys. I figured the Beach Boys had to be, I think they were like number 7 or 8 all-time best-selling, but I wouldn't have guessed the Eagles were number 2, much less in the top 5. But that
the Beach Boys, I don't think the Beach Boys stand the test of time very well.
I still listen to the Beach Boys today.
You do, but I do, young people that do. I know young people that can get into a lot of the other bands, and the Beach Boys is just something totally different.
Yeah. I guess Defense does. I see gun people. He said the Eagles, Rich White says the Eagles' greatest hits is the highest selling album of US of all time. Did that pass Thriller? Let's see here. Best selling album. All time US. Let's see here. Yeah, it says the Eagles' greatest hits. So it must have passed Thriller. That's interesting. I didn't know that. But yeah, I was a little surprised the Eagles were the second best. Right now, the poll, 1.3 thousand votes. Zeppelin with 28%. The Beatles and Queen tied for 22%. And the Eagles and Pink Floyd tied at 14%. So, I'm also a big Chicago fan. I could have put them in there. A lot of people said the Rolling Stones. I'm not a huge Stones fan. I don't dislike them.
Me neither.
I would pick any of these 5 before I would just sit down and listen to the Stones, but I get why the Stones would be a lot of people's favorites.
Zeppelin and Queen, or Queen first, and then Zeppelin would be my 2 on that list for sure.
Yeah, if on the 5, if I had to rank my 5, it would obviously be Beatles, then Floyd, probably the Eagles, then Queen, then Zeppelin. Zeppelin would be. I'm not I like some Zeppelin songs, but I would not just sit there and put their albums in a row and just listen straight through. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
it is what it is. Now, Buck says that riding with Ghosts is like a mini concert. I do enjoy singing when I'm on the road. It's like what makes the time go by for me. So yeah, I do a little bit of do a little bit of mini concert when I drive. So if you're ever in their car with me, I apologize ahead of time. It is what it is. And our last poll was yesterday, and it's got over 1.3 thousand votes. Best war movie of all time. Once again, I got thrashed in the comments, over 40 comments. The 5 that I gave you to choose from: Apocalypse Now, Saving Private Ryan, Black Hawk Down, Lone Survivor, and Platoon. Now, you can imagine people that love the old-time war movies. I get it. A lot of people thrash me on Full Metal Jacket. Clover knows this, and some people that know me know this. I am not a huge fan of the entire movie of Full Metal Jacket. I turn it off literally after the boot camp scene. Now, I've said this before, both privately and publicly. Had they stopped the movie right there after Gunny is doing the boot camp scene, I would agree with you. It's a great movie. I just was not a fan of the Vietnam storytelling that they put in that movie. That being said, that's why I don't consider that a great war, because half the movie I don't like necessarily. That's just me. I know that's a little weird. So I think Apocalypse Now is better than Full Metal Jacket as a whole. A little darker, but it is. So of those 5, Apocalypse Now, Saving Private Ryan, Black Hawk Down, Lone Survivor, and Platoon, what would you choose, Clove?
I think I go Platoon.
Yeah, that's a great one. I'd say a story about Platoon. I think I might have told, you probably know this, but I don't know if I've told this publicly or not. Platoon, for me, I was probably 10 or 11, somewhere around there when it came out. And my family and a couple other families, we were in Colorado for Christmas. And the dads wanted to get out of the house from the craziness that is Christmas with wives and all of that. So the dads decided they wanted to go to a movie. And they wanted to go see Platoon. So they took me, and there's 2 of us that were boys. So they took us with them. Probably a mistake. They hadn't seen it before, so they didn't really know either, And went to Platoon. I don't remember much about the movie originally. Now, obviously, I've seen it no telling how many times since then. But at the theater, I don't remember much about the movie. The only thing I do remember, it was the first time I ever witnessed when the movie was over. Now, this is before like scrolling credits that with the jump in like Marvel does with preview of the next. This is way before no one ever did that. So once the movie was over and the credits started rolling, the movie was over. It was the first movie I'd ever been to, and I didn't understand why. I was 10 years old, 9 years old, whatever it was, 10, I don't know, somewhere in there. No one moved. And no one said a word. They just sat there. The entire theater just sat there quietly until it was over. Until the credits rolled and they were over, no one moved. And I was like, what in the world? So I didn't know what to do. So I didn't say anything. I just sat there also. I'm like, what's going on? So we got in the car and I asked my dad, I was like, what's up with that? Like, I've never seen that before. And he was like, that was just kind of out of respect for the movie. And it hit home with a lot of people. And I think it was just people didn't want to get up. They were kind of shocked and awed. I mean, Platoon was a dark, great movie, but it was dark. It showed them some things that war movies previously hadn't shown a lot of.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I think, as I got older, I think I appreciated Platoon more.
Yeah.
It's one of them it's hard for a kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
to kind of grasp it. It really is. I mean, it's a war movie, like any war movie, and for kids, especially that grew up like us, out in the woods, playing war and everything else. I mean, it was, it was cool from that aspect, but you really didn't understand, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the nuance and other things. And, as you go back and watch it again, as you get older, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. This is wow,
Yeah. Yeah. I think now looking back on it, if I were to go to the theater and see that for the first time, I probably wouldn't get up either. I'd probably be like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. My buddy Jamie here, he says Platoon. Revolver says Saving Private Ryan and Black Hawk Down as our tie. So Black Hawk Down, the reason why I put that down is Black Hawk Down is one of the few movies that kind of depicts the fog, if you will, pretty accurately. Especially obviously it's not Mogadishu, but it's supposed to be a Mogadishu. I can tell you that's a lot how the people are there. It happens that fast. So that's why I put that down, because I enjoy Black Hawk Down because of personal reasons, I guess, maybe. But it's very, very realistic in a lot of the ways that things happen in the fog. Saving Private Ryan, I put down there not because I think it's a phenomenal movie. It is a phenomenal movie. But outside basically the first 15 minutes and then sporadic pieces throughout the movie, it's not a war movie. It's, it's, I don't know what you would call it. It's based in World War II, but it's not a war movie. The first 15 minutes of it, the landing on Omaha Beach, I wasn't there, but I've seen interviews with guys that were there, and they said that even that was to them the most realistic cinema portrayal of the beach landings that they'd ever seen. So when those guys say that it's pretty real, you have to go with that. And I've heard that from a lot of people that Saving Private Ryan was as close to the beach landing at Normandy than anyone's ever done. So it is a great movie. To me, it's not necessarily a war movie. It's a great movie based during World War II. Does that make sense? Lone Survivor. That's just one of the best movies, regardless of genre. To me, that's a top 10 favorite movie of mine that I've ever seen. I love Lone Survivor. I think they did a phenomenal job. For me, there was a lot of people that mentioned a lot of different things. You could have mentioned a bunch of them. Recent movies, Hacksaw Ridge was a really, really good movie. That was based on the Battle of Okinawa, actually. For me, I would say I would have to go, Lone Survivor is it's a great movie, but take Lone Survivor out of it, it's a toss up between Apocalypse Now and Platoon, for different reasons. Platoon, I think, is probably the best actual just war movie that I've seen. But Apocalypse Now, you're talking about the Vietnam War and how fucked up the Vietnam War was. And they brought that to life. The character that Brando plays, it was loosely based on several different people, but I mean, there are a lot of people that lost their minds over there, and so yeah, Apocalypse Now was a great one as well. So, I have fun with these. They're great little questions, and I know that I'm going to get blasted in the comments, and it is what it is. It's fun. We're supposed to have fun with it. But yeah, let's see here. 1% says, I've heard World War II vets say that the two best depictions of the landing are The Longest Day. The Longest Day is a great one too. I almost put that one on there. That's a great movie. And Saving Private Ryan both capture the chaos of it. My dad's favorite, and our dads are probably, your dad's probably the same age as my dad would have been, or around that probably. My dad's favorite war movie was The Bridge Over River Kwai. You ever seen that one? Oh, we might have lost Clover. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm on mute. I don't think so.
Oh, it's a World War II about the Japanese side of the Pacific side of the war and all that. But that was my dad's favorite, was Bridge Over River Kwai. So yeah, Defense Dad says, my grandpa led a mine clearing unit in World War II and was a Purple Heart recipient. And the only time I ever saw him cry was during Schindler's List. Now, Schindler's List is to me, Schindler's List is a whole nother genre. Once again, incredible movie based on the war. And it has moments of the war, but I wouldn't call it a war movie. But there are some people that say that might be the greatest movie ever. It came out in a time when I was probably a teenager or something like that. And I don't remember liking it too much, but it was probably slow. And I probably didn't really understand everything that was in that. But yeah. Elder says, I met a woman in my neighborhood. She was a colonel in the army, a nurse. She pulled a live grenade out of a guy's arm. I cleaned her solar panels the other day for her. A live grenade out of someone's arm. That's interesting. Holy shit! There you go.
You
Let's see.
know, we've totally overlooked the most awesome war movie of all time.
Are you gonna say Navy SEALs?
No, I'm gonna say in the Army now.
Oh, God, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like that movie. For obviously stupid reasons.
Water
I
boys.
don't like Polly Shore, but that's probably that and the one that the girl goes to college out at LA from the
Son-in-law.
farm.
Son-in-law.
Son-in-law. Those are I enjoy both those movies for stupid reasons. But yeah, in the Army now, yeah. I tell you, once again, you're talking about different war movies. One of my favorite. I enjoy it's one of those I don't see very often. So when it does come on, I watch it, and it's not a war movie at all. But it's about the Naval Academy. It's called Annapolis, and it's with oh shit, what's his name? Oh, he's the weird dude. James Franco. This before he kind of went weird, but that's a good one. There's a lot of great movies out there that I like for different reasons, and In the Army Now is one of them for one of those. Yeah. I'll tell you another movie. I just watched it last week, and I hadn't seen it in a while. Was Jarhead with Jake Gyllenhaal, and that's a great movie. And I'll say this about that movie: I don't dislike him. I just don't particularly care for Jamie Foxx. He's just not one of these guys that does much for me. But he was phenomenal in that movie. He played a great staff sergeant in that movie.
What's the one with the like very early movie, one of his first with the Hawkeye guy? Jeremy Reiner or whatever.
Yeah, with who?
It was a war movie. Hurt Locker. That's Hurt Locker, right?
Yeah, with Jeremy Renner was Hurt Locker. Yeah, the EOD guy. Yeah, EOD guy. Yeah. Great movie as well.
That was pretty good. I liked it.
Really good. Yeah, F&H says, does Down Periscope count as a war movie?
Sure. Why not?
Sure. But yeah, Hurt Locker was really good.
Hunt for Red October.
Love that. Crimson Tide was a great movie with Denzel and Gene Hackman.
Yep.
Great movie. Yeah, there's so many of them.
Remember, speaking of Gene Hackman, Bat 2-1, that was Gene Hackman, wasn't it?
Was it Gene Hackman?
I think so, wasn't it?
I think so. I think it was. It's been a long time since I've seen that.
I think so.
Long time.
Yeah. Gene Hackman, Danny Glover, Jerry Reed. Yeah.
Yep. Long time. Oh, he just says Tora. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
Tora is a good one. Patton. Patton. I'm assuming he's talking about the one with George C. Scott. Great movie. To me, a little slow. When I think war movie, I think action. I just think action. Hamburger Hill type, that kind of stuff. Patton was a great movie, but it was more about Patton and not necessarily about the action. So that's just me.
Well, when we fell down the same trap tonight that we fell down before talking about this, when we talking modern stuff, because then you get into Braveheart, you get into 300, you get into
absolutely.
So
those are still war movies. They're not World War II and later. Yeah,
you think war movies, and especially there's some
Civil War movies that are great out there.
Well, I was thinking like Asian, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what the
a lot of the samurai movies and all that. Sure.
Yeah.
No doubt. Now I'm going to give you a little guilty pleasure, and you can judge me, and people out there can judge me. I don't give a shit. Not the cartoon version, but the one that came out a couple years ago of Mulan. Did you ever see that one?
I prefer the cartoon, but yeah.
Okay, so I prefer the live version, and really? Jet Li plays the Emperor and all that. Yeah. But it was
pretty good. It was pretty good.
I enjoyed that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yep. And Man's says you're a judge. I get it.
I think one thing that gets me with Mulan, if you've ever watched the TV series Once Upon a Time, Mulan is a lesbian and is in love with Sleeping Beauty. So once that happened, because that kind of happened in between the cartoon and the live
Yeah.
version, that tainted, I think, the live version.
Have you
Because the
seen
live
that
version,
Once
I'm
Upon a
like,
Time became woke?
oh, Once Upon a Time is like any
It was
other
woke
ABC
as
TV
hell.
show. It was
Oh, I get.
woke from the
We
time
stopped watching it
it
after
was
probably
woke
season
before there
2.
was such a thing as woke. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I don't mind it. I'll use a Seinfeld term that I love and I use all the time since I've been watching Seinfeld, which is not that there's anything wrong with that.
If there's anything wrong with that. I just get sick and tired of woke stuff all the time. So
I don't pay much
um,
attention to it, to be honest with you. Not anymore.
yeah, we watched Once Upon a Time. That was kind of 10 years ago, at least probably the first season. And I want to say we actually watched the first 2 seasons of it,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
then it started getting weird. And I was like, okay, I'm out. Like,
You would have to be a pretty big Disney fan and really pay attention to a lot of the Disney cartoons and stuff.
yeah.
Because
Oh, I knew all the characters. It
they
just got
got
to the point where the
well
storyline just went weird.
they got into well they basically played the storyline out and then they reversed the storyline, which is
Right.
really weird.
Yeah.
It was almost like you played the first few seasons backwards.
I might be the only one, but my favorite character was Rumpelstiltskin in that. I thought
Oh,
whoever played that did
yeah.
great. He was
Yeah,
great.
he was like the character you love to hate type thing.
Exactly.
He was
No
like
doubt.
almost perfect. It was amazing.
Yeah. Marcus says, anybody psyched up for Top Gun 2? I
Little
am. I've
bit,
been waiting for a
little bit.
couple years. And if you're my age or around my age, Top Gun meant something to you back when you were growing up, whether you like Tom Cruise or not. Now, Top Gun was huge. So yes, I am psyched. I've been waiting 2 years for it. So yeah, I'm it's supposed to come out next month. So we'll see. But
So
yeah, I'm gonna go see it for sure.
Big Al says Enemy at the Gate. So we were talking
Yep.
about like old
Yep.
war movies. What about
Yep.
future war movies?
Yep.
And like Starship Troopers, for example.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Would you like to know more?
I would not really, no.
It's kind of what I thought. That's what happened. Remember that? Remember that was always their advertising, is they would do something, they would show something. Would you like to know more?
Get to know more. Yeah. You start talking about war movies, and some of the Star Wars movies could be considered war movies to a certain extent.
Could be.
More of a Western, a space Western,
Space
is what it was
Western,
intended to be. Is what it's intended to be, but there are some war aspects with, Empire and all that.
I think Rogue One might come the closest to
Rogue
actual
One.
war
I think
movie.
Rogue One is my favorite outside of the original 3. Rogue One and Solo were my 2 favorite. And Solo was good, but Rogue One, man,
best of all
Rogue
time,
One was great.
Best of all time's Empire, without a doubt.
I agree. Empire, then the original, then Return of the Jedi, and then I would probably say Rogue One.
Rogue One.
And honestly, Rogue One, and this sounds, and I know this is blasphemy, Rogue One's pushing Return of the Jedi.
I think so. There was
movie.
just way too much Jim Henson in Return of the Jedi, and I know that like the whole Jabba scenes weren't enough, and then we get into freaking Ewoks, and it's like, why couldn't they been on a planet full of Wookiees? That would have been way more interesting.
That would have been badass.
Yeah.
Flags of Our Fathers. That was an Clint Eastwood, I believe. That was a great one. Does anybody watch Yellowstone? Absolutely. It's great. I tell you what I'm watching right now, and it's on Hulu if you guys are watch Hulu. So you guys remember the American Crime Story a couple years ago that was the OJ thing, right? Did you ever watch that, Clove?
No.
The documentary on the OJ case. It was great. Sarah Paulson. They had David Schwimmer. I mean, it was wonderful. It was great. Same people have done now called American Crime Story. It's a 10 episode. I'm on episode number 4. And it's called Impeachment. And the executive producer is Monica Lewinsky. And It's the Clinton Lewinsky thing, and it's fascinating. There's I'm on episode 4 and I'm hooked. It's great. But there is a scene, and it's so funny because we look back, and this is like 1997, 98, 99, and all that. And you look back, and there's a scene with Kenneth Starr, and he's talking with his staff and about, do we have enough to take this to Congress for impeachment, this, that, and the other, is the evidence there? And they're going around this table of like 6 or 7 of other attorneys, and they're kind of giving their opinions. And he looks over, and it's this young kid, probably early mid-20s, whatever. And he says, "Kavanaugh, what do you think?" And it was Brett Kavanaugh, his character. And you forget that Kavanaugh was part of the Kenneth Starr investigative team. He says, "Kavanaugh, what do you think?" And it was just like, holy crap, like that's Brett Kavanaugh's character, and you forget that, he's a Supreme Court justice now, but you forget he's got his big break on the Kenneth Starr team. It's kind of one of those things. It's kind of interesting. Sarah Paulson plays Linda Tripp, and I didn't know it. Like, I've watched 3 episodes, and I finally had to go and say, who the hell is playing Linda Tripp? She's doing a great job, but it doesn't look like anyone I've ever seen. And it's Sarah Paulson. I was like, they did a phenomenal makeup job on Sarah Paulson.
Yeah,
because I didn't know it was her. It was great. But yeah. Anybody mentioned We Were Soldiers? No, not yet. That was a good one. And you could have gone with like a series. Obviously, Band of Brothers would have been up there if you did like, a TV series on it. But yeah. So anyways, let's close this out. Saving Private Ryan is leading at 49%. Like I said, 1.3 thousand votes. Saving Private Ryan, 49%. Black Hawk Down, 20%. Platoon at 12. Lone Survivor, 10. And Apocalypse Now is 9. So for my taste, Lone Survivor's at 10%. So that means 90% of you are wrong. Just saying. But no, Saving Private Ryan overwhelmingly, almost with 50% of the vote, with 49% of the vote. So there you go. There are polls for this week. There'll be a couple more coming out, like I said, every Thursday, every Saturday, and every Monday morning at 10 a.m. over in our YouTube community tab. So go check those out. And what the fuck are you talking about here?
I was just being funny.
Is that a real thing? It probably is, honestly.
I think it is. Yes, I think so. Yeah. You know how they play on everything nowadays in that industry. So yeah, it probably is. But that's been a thing ever since that movie came out. People have twisted it. So.
Oh, I'm sure. But yeah, that's funny. That's funny. So tonight we're going to talk about being gear junkies. And I'm not saying that Clover is one. He may not fit into this, but I think in certain aspects he is.
Define gear. That's what I've been thinking about.
That's what we're going to talk about. Is there are so many different ways to go down this. I'm definitely a gear junkie on most of the avenues that we could go down. Yeah. But there's gear for, home defense type gear. There's for training, for Red Dawn scenario, for competitive shooting. So I kind of I didn't count, but I kind of went around and was looking at all this different shit that I have. When my office / studio is getting kind of cluttered. I'm not gonna lie, but between rifle bags and backpacks and just different kind of bags and all of that. When I say just bags, and I bet you I've probably got over 40 or 50 bags. It's just it's insane. Holsters. That's my biggest weakness. I've got damn near. It's hundreds maybe of holsters. But yeah, you start talking about all sorts of stuff. So if there are certain aspects, I'm sure that you are a gear head, a gear junkie. Knives, absolutely. Knives. Good Lord, I can't imagine how many knives I have, or flashlights and optics, and good Lord, ammo cans. I mean, there's gun cases. Good. I mean, I don't know.
Tools.
It's stupid. Tools. You know, how many Allen wrenches do you think you have? I bet y'all got.
I
I
don't
got
know that there's a
Allen
number to
wrenches.
quantify it,
That's what
honestly.
I'm saying. That's what I'm
So we'll
saying.
just use the infinity sign. I don't know.
Right. So yeah, it's nuts. So you
Way
said to
more
pick.
than I use. I only use the ones I can't find. So for whatever
Yep.
reason.
Yep. I know when I brought up Gear Junkie, you said you've been thinking about, and in what way do I mean gear? So I want to kind of let you kind of take down what you've been thinking about and certain things that you find yourself collecting over the years that's non firearm stuff, because I think that's kind of
Well,
accessories and all that
yeah.
stuff that go along with it. We're talking anything that's not the actual firearm.
So coming from the instructor slash, youth slash, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Competition type stuff.
Right.
Um, it is range gear slash, competition related gear.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that could be palm swells, that could be
Sure.
shooting gloves, that could be slings,
Support bags, slings,
that
yeah,
could be mats, that could be
mag
tripods, spotting
pouches. Yeah,
scopes,
yep.
ammo. What am I thinking? Ammo stands, ammo blocks. You know, so many different things.
Yep.
Ioneer Pro. I mean, at
Oh
one
my god, can you
time,
imagine?
and I think I got a video out there somewhere. I mean, at one time my setup for like the range is I had one big huge range bag,
Mhm.
and then I had a little smaller bag, and then I had what I called the personal bag.
Yep.
Um, and so like all three of them went on any event or any major range day, and then if it was just me in the backyard or whatever, I grabbed
Mm,
the personal, of course. But or if we were doing, sometimes we would do practices and things here, and the medium size one I could grab and go with it. But um, yeah, I mean that thing was a hodgepodge of all sorts of stuff, right? And
mhm.
then you um, you get into certain things, and I'm the type that gets into certain things, and I have a tendency to go over the top with stuff. Um, but medical, that led into,
Yeah.
uh, well, I've
First
got
aid
all this
kits,
range gear,
tourniquets. Oh my god, how many
you
tourniquets do I
know,
have?
what about medical? And then so my medical bags were the same way, big bag, smaller bag,
Right.
type situation. Anything from, surgical gear and sutures. When am I ever going to need that? Right. To
Never
yeah, to
know.
tourniquet, or even simpler than that. You could break it
Israeli
down even
bandage
smaller than that,
or
where it's
just
not even that,
gauze.
it's literal Neosporin and Band-Aids.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
alcohol
Alcohol
wipes, Neosporin
alcohol
and
wipes. Oh my
alcohol
god.
wipes, Neosporin and Band-Aids. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Um, and then, I mean, same way, of course, this was an issue long before, the youth instructor stuff and all, but
Mm,
reloading gear, man. Holy crap, at the tools, that falls somewhat into tools as well, but um,
mm.
holy crap at the things to, and I'm not talking about tools specifically for working on stuff around the house or, a vehicle, but, some of them will cross over. But, I've got to have, even though I've got a complete set of wrenches in the shop that I use for working on a truck, that could
Yeah.
be used for gunsmithing or anything else, I've got to have a whole separate
Mhm.
set basically for, like, this set's used for this. And it's like,
Yep.
why? It's just because it's handy and it's on a rack right there where all my stuff is at, right? And I don't have to
Absolutely.
go and get this or get that. So
Mm, mhm.
um yeah, reloading is anything from basic hand tools to some power tools, I mean drill press and some other things, to reloading specific,
So
stuff.
that's one of the reasons why I'm glad that I don't do the reloading because I'd go all in and I'd probably have. I mean, there's no
Well,
telling.
that that also extends to, and here's the beautiful thing, is that also extends to brass primers, powder, and lead, and projectiles, and molds, and other components, and everything you need. So in times like right now, having that sickness years ago pays off. You're like, oh crap, cool. I got, thousands of primers on hand and many pounds of powder and many thousands of rounds of brass and other stuff. And, it's like I can make it through a really long drought with
Absolutely.
maybe even forever with what I've got.
Yeah. Buck up there says, "Do you have an Olight flashlight?" No, and I
Yeah,
won't
me neither.
have an Olight flashlight. I'm a big fan of Streamlight. I got some Surefire stuff. I got a couple LA Police Gear flashlights that are awesome.
I
But
was,
my brand of choice is Streamlight.
yeah, I'm a Streamlight whore as well. I was having a conversation, I think over the weekend, with Wes,
Mhm.
maybe it was,
How's Wes doing?
and doing good.
Good.
And I think that's who it was anyway. And the whole thing with shills and stuff come up.
Mhm.
And Streamlight is one thing I can point to and go, call me a shill if you want. But
All you want.
I've been a Streamlight fan forever. I was
Yeah.
tickled when I was given the opportunity to work with them. That relationship has turned out to be a great relationship, and I don't
Mhm.
lose one bit of sleep at night
I
pimping out
believe
a
it.
Streamlight because they are freaking solid. I love them, and whatever. And the only reason I would have an Olight, I would never take an Olight from Olight. But if, let's say, G Web's got 6 and decided to, for whatever reason, send me one in a package, or you get what I'm saying, right? But the only reason I would even have an Olight would be to do a comparison between it and a Streamlight. That'd be it. Be the only reason.
I try to destroy that thing too.
Probably after I showed that the Streamlight was better,
Yeah.
you know.
Um, so let's out there. A couple of people are saying, but let's out there. Tell me your one guilty pleasure of gear slash accessories. What's the one thing that you guys out there have gone nuts on and have a little problem? Because we all have problems with certain things. I'll go into my problems here: holsters, knives, flashlights, among them. Um, battle belts, plate carriers. I got a lot of problems. But what are your problems out there? What are the one or two things that you guys really have found to be collecting without being a collector, if you will? Elder says Vietnam era goodies. That'd be kind of cool. The surplus game. I like surplus stuff. I love going to surplus stores. And I actually, one of the first things I asked you yesterday was at Wanamaker, they have a huge corner downstairs of surplus. Last couple times have been really, really light. And that was one of the first things I asked Clover, how was a surplus? And he said it was pretty good this time. So I'm upset that I couldn't go to that. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. Surplus stuff's good. The Vietnam era stuff's pretty cool. Warsaw says rope and paracord. I've got a shit ton of paracord. Yeah, I mean, I guess I have a lot of it for specific reasons, but yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, sure. Um, let's see here. Let's go down here. Defense Dad says he collects specialty tools. He has 14 different hammers alone. I didn't know that there were 14 different types of hammers, but
Yeah, there are.
yeah, so that's pretty interesting.
What's this? I wonder what his favorite hammer is.
All right, so Defense Dad, what's your favorite hammer? Go ahead and
Mine
answer.
is a framing hammer. You just can't beat a big honking framing hammer. I like the way the claw is designed. There's something about a framing hammer. I think a framing hammer. I did like a top 5 zombie weapons, and I think a framing hammer. I think it made that list if I'm not mistaken. I just love a freaking framing hammer. It's amazing.
That's interesting. Warsaw says boots. Yeah, I got a bunch of shit ton of boots. Oh shit. Yeah, boots are a
See,
good one.
I'm not a shoes guy. I just what I'm saying, footwear type guy.
I
I'm
am.
not a now. Shirts, obviously, I'm a sucker for retro cartoon, whatever
Yes, you are.
shirts or
And you've
whatever.
gotten into the whole cargo slash tactical pants
I
game.
have, and I'll be honest with you, Beretta has ruined me on vests. I have been on Beretta. Unfortunately, doesn't make any other style vests that I like.
Yeah.
But man, there's just something about a vest. Maybe it's getting older. I don't know. Maybe Bert from Tremors is rubbing off on me. I don't know what the deal is. But,
Right.
But there's something about a vest and having all the pockets, you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
stuff. It's like I'm on the lookout for other vests after getting that one from Beretta. I love that thing.
Yeah.
It's like the cargo pants that you wear on your, you know what I mean? Like
I get it.
it's
No,
the
I get
same
it.
scenario. There's pockets everywhere. It's just awesome.
Yep. I get it. Defense is also a watch junkie to a certain extent. I am too.
I wasn't one time.
Unfortunately, I have expensive taste in watches, so I
Yeah.
can't be too much of a junkie because I can't afford to be a watch junkie because the watches that I like are
Several $100
extremely.
at least. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a couple that are a few thousand.
Yeah, I get it, but I mean several
Oh,
hundred at least.
yeah. The watches that I like,
Yeah.
$200 or $300 would be the cheapest thing that I'd probably.
Yeah.
And I did wear a watch
$200
for a
like
couple of years. You know, my daughter got one for me. This is a long time ago. My daughter got me like a green, kind of a what's the brand that everyone likes? The $100 G-Shock is a G-Shock knockoff for a Walmart knockoff. She got it for like $25, and she was like 16 years old when she bought it. So I mean, what the hell? It was awesome. And I wore it for a couple of years, and you know what? That $25 watch lasted 2 or 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
And I could probably still put it on. I've got it still. And I still probably put it on. Probably put a battery in it, and it worked just fine. So
I've got $1,000 watches that no longer run, and I've got $10 watches that still do. It's like adorable.
Now Warsaw's just being crazy. He says another thing as far as gear is sunscreen and water. That's not gear, bro. Gear's not sunscreen and water. Sorry. It is what it is. They're essentials, but they're not gear. Let's see here. Rich White's an Olight shill. He says the flash that I use most is Olight i3T. Got it from Obnoxious. We know Obnoxious is a shill for Olight, so that's all good. I've been asked several times, and I will not go down the Olight road because you're not going to tell me what I can and can't do, and that I have to do certain things on certain days at certain times. I don't play that game, so I'm fine with my lights that I already have and will continue to have. So. Marcus says, I try and match up all my toys with all the correct time period accessories, especially World War II, World War I, British, American, Vietnam. That's pretty cool. You remember those? We were growing up, and I had one called Iwo Jima, and it was a plastic, probably 2 or 3 foot high mountain. It was Iwo Jima. But you remember the old plastic army guys? Oh man, I bet you I had 10,000.
At least
growing up, at least, you know.
A lot of them died a horrible death due to
they did indeed.
Squad, but
they did
or strapped to bottle rockets or something. Yeah, we did some very inhumane military testing on those guys for sure. But here's the thing: there literally was like 5 different variations or something. Like that was it.
That was it. That was it.
That's all you got. It's like. It was 5. That was all. That's what was beautiful when you had started getting GI Joes and stuff. Is like they could do different poses and fit in vehicles and all kinds.
Yeah, you had the mortar guy, you had the rifleman. I mean, there was like there was like 4,
the minesweeper guy, the guy with the rifle over his head, the guy on the ground and prone. Yeah,
there was about 5 or 6, and that was it. TJ's out there. This is Get Off Work. If you want to join, you got a link in your email. So jump on in if you want to, TJ. We're talking Gear Junkie stuff. So.
Now, something I've seen, I don't know if you've seen these, especially with 3D printers, I could imagine there are more of them out there on the market. But I was in Hobby Lobby one day, and I saw something cool. These were not plastic. These were cast, some type of plaster or something, I'm sure. But they had the set of Army men that were like 12 inches tall.
Oh, really? The same guys, but just
the same ones, the old school we're used to, the 5 or 6 or whatever they were. But I mean, they were like $15 a piece or something, and I was like, man, that's,
you know what?
That's cool though. I was like,
if somebody wants to send some of those to me, feel free, guys. And I'll put them on display because that'd be cool as hell to have.
Now, every now and then, if you're familiar with Hobby Lobby, they rotate out. They're like 40-50% off. And every now and then they put that section 40 or 50% off, and they wouldn't be but like $7 or $8 a piece.
I bet you could find some Chinese versions of them, on Amazon.
Like I said, I would be willing to bet if you hit up eBay or something there is somebody that's 3D printing those.
Oh, that's
I
true
would be willing
too.
to bet.
Yeah, that's true too. I didn't think about. I'm
Because
gonna have to
that's
call.
one of the first things. If
Call
I
people.
ever,
Say, hey, I'm not worried about your ghost gun. Can you bill me my army guys for me?
yeah, I've been hollering I'm going to get a 3D printer forever, and I still haven't got it. But I can promise you that as of right now, that's going to be one of the first things I tackle when I get one. Is probably making some big, you know, 12-inch or something sized army men.
Even 6-inch or 8-inch would be awesome.
Yeah, just
So just
something
one
big
or
that,
two.
set up on a shelf that you could actually see from across the room really well, and it's like, "Whoa,
Yeah,
that's freaking cool."
it is cool. Pat Hurst says my first LED flashlight was a stream light. Still have it and still works great 13 years later.
Yep.
There might be there is better stuff than a stream light. Let's be honest. You can spend a lot of money on stuff like that.
Yeah.
Bang for the buck, you're not going to beat Streamlight.
Well, even some of the Streamlight is really expensive.
Well, yeah, but I'm just talking about like,
Yeah.
you can get some Streamlight for 100, 150 bucks.
Yeah.
But they're gonna be great. Mandatory Carry says cold weather gear. I tended to agree. I have a lot of hoodies, but cold weather gear like Gore-Tex stuff, sure, absolutely.
Man, they had a ton of cold weather stuff at
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
At Wanamaker. That's what I was telling you.
I
Those
know.
cold weather or whatever parkas or whatever, man.
Yeah.
Golly. And when am I gonna wear one in Texas? But they were freaking cool.
Yeah, I love that shit. And they didn't have anything the last couple, but whatever. Maybe November they'll still have some left. Gary says he does love his O-lights, but has a soft spot for the Maglite. Maglight's got some good stuff as well. Sure.
Yep. Maglight's OG, man.
OG. Pat Hurst says flashlights and ammo, my two weaknesses. I wouldn't really call ammo because we all have that weakness. I would call that gear, but I see where you're going with that. TJ, I think you a lot like those. I end up with a lot of random AR pipes, like a lot.
Yeah.
How many charging handles do I have? I don't even want to know. How many firing pit? I don't even want to know. How many grips? I don't even want to know.
An opportunity to advertise something. I've got like 10 or 12 CMMG charging handles for the 22. They're 22 charging handles. If anybody needs those, please get with me. I came into like 10 or 12 of those, and it's like I don't know what I'll ever do with them, but
were they sitting in the back of some guy's pickup and you just saw them?
They're like here in a box. I had a buddy that gave them to me. He's like, here, you need to mess around with guns and blah, 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 blah. Maybe you'll use them. I hadn't used a single one. So
Defense Dad's favorite hammer says it's cheap, but his Cobalt framing hammer is a go-to. So he likes a good framing hammer.
Yep.
It sounds like
I think that's exactly
the hammer what you're talking about.
That's exactly. I think that's exactly the hammer that I'm talking about that I got is a big old Cobalt framing hammer. It's got the little groove with the magnet on the head of it. Defense Dad, that's the one you got. That's the one I got. Anyway.
1% says Clover's going to be the Paul Harrell of shooting vests. I think that he'd probably take that.
Why not? It's too hot to wear his shooting jackets around here. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But I'm almost that way with the Beretta gear Beretta vest and sweater I've got.
It. No,
I wear those on almost every single video.
Absolutely. Marcus says baseball caps with gun companies. Yeah. I'm just a baseball cap guy in general. It doesn't matter what logo.
I've got to do a giveaway for caps eventually.
When I was in high school, I had when Bull Durham came out, I had me a Durham Bulls hat and I loved it. And there for a few years, I collected. For those of you guys who don't know, I'm a huge baseball guy. Okay. I know that baseball's boring, but it's my game. I'm a huge baseball guy, but I collected old time like Brooklyn Dodgers, the old Cincinnati Reds, the New York Giants hats, old school White Sox hats, the old school kind of throwback hats. But then I also collected there for a while a lot of minor league hats. After Bull Durham, I started collecting minor league hats. Don't know where they are now. I probably had 40 or 50 different minor league hats. If I had those, man, I'd start wearing the hell out of those. My head's probably too big. I wouldn't fit them anymore, but they're all fitted hats. But yeah, I understand the hat thing for sure. Mandatory Carry says there's at least 5 pieces of cold weather gear that I want to. Must be Pat Hurst.
There's Pat. About time Pat showed up.
All right, here we go. Armed Citizen Podcast. What's up, Pat?
No, not much. Damn, and it's even been like 3 weeks since I called in.
I know. We had to take a guess. I'm gonna go ahead and I've got your thing for you on the phone, Pat Hurst. Here we go.
Oh, yep. There you go. There you go.
What's up, bud?
Just talking about the gear and everything on there. As far as, I guess I kind of meant the ammo is kind of more of a, kind of thing that you collect just because you kind of want.
Sure. No, I was just joking. Absolutely. Yeah. Ammo's definitely on that list.
Yeah. I know it's not like one of those things as far as gear, but I threw it in there because it was like shotgun shells. Like sure. I've got the old paper and some of when they first came out with the plastics on shotgun shells, 12, 20, and 16. And so, yeah, I collect a little bit of that ammo.
Now, one thing with ammo is like ammo storage is one thing. Like
ammo cans. I've
got the foldable molly cases and different types of ammo cases and what am I thinking? Like bandoliers and the kind that goes on your buttstock that you put the ammo in.
Not gonna lie, I have little buckets. I have buckets now because I just put them in a bucket.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of that stuff too. It's just any way you can put ammo on a gun or yourself or in a box or a storage container. Yeah, I'm really horrible about that too. It's like, oh, that's kind of a neat way to do that. I think I'll buy it.
Exactly. No, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Ammo storage is a big one. I tell you one in the last, it's coming up on 5 years. It'll be 5 years in June, I believe. My 5-year anniversary on YouTube. But in the last 5 years, something I never thought you'd hear me say is I'm a collector of tripods. And I'm not talking about shooting tripods, like camera tripods. Never thought you'd ever hear me say that I'm a collector. I'm not collecting. I just use them when they break, but I don't ever throw them away because I can use them for different things. I've got more tripods than any human should have, honestly. So yeah, tripods, another piece of gear that I guess that I collect now. I don't know.
Oh yeah, well sure. You just never know the right height or the angle or the width, or is it high wind? Is it low wind? Are you sitting this up on top of a brick wall, or is it down on the ground? Or
I've got some that like some of the legs break, but they still like the top part of the extended legs still are all working good. So so there's my 3-foot camera stand, or whatever, yeah, I've got tripods out the ass. Probably need to go through some of those.
Yeah. I'm sure there's things that everybody collects that they don't think they have enough of, but they've got way more than what they need.
Flashlights and knives. I'm sitting here just looking at my desk, and I've got 4 flashlights and probably 7 or 8 knives just sitting right here on my desk. And it's like, why do I have 8 knives just sitting on my desk? I don't understand why I do that, but I do. Who knows?
Yeah, it's to each their own on what they think they need, and
Yep. So shizzle.
Yeah, not a big deal. So we all spend our money on different things. So
yeah.
Definitely can't fault anybody for doing that.
Well, that's the thing is I just look around, just what I can see right now. I'm seeing. I don't even want to count how many thousands of dollars of stuff that you just sit there and say, God, over the years, how much money have I spent on shit that's just sitting here in the corner right now? Because at the time, every purchase made sense to me. And 10, 15 years, whatever it is later, 20 years, he was like, God, I still got stuff.
From somebody, once I'm dead and gone.
At that point, yeah.
Once I'm dead and gone, I don't know who it'll be. I don't know if it'll be my wife. I don't know if it'll be my kids, grandbabies, great-grandbabies. I don't know, right? But somebody's going to have a garage sale, not sell it at an auction, a state auction, or get top dollar for anything. Somebody's going to have just a random yard sale.
Selling shit for $1
and become wealthy. I kid you not.
Yes. No, absolutely.
Just
No
off
doubt.
of junk I've got in buildings and boxes. But here's the cool thing. So, Pat, jump in on this too. Have you ever been going through your stuff? This is the thing about hoarding gear, hoarding goodies, whatever it might be, right? And having the obsession. Every time that I go through boxes and things, it's like Christmas. I find something I forgot I had.
Oh, sure.
And I love that feeling.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's what fuels the obsession, is because I love that feeling. I found guns. I found all kinds of stuff.
So I was going through a backpack. There's just backpacks. That's one of my big vices. But I was going through a backpack, opened it up. I hadn't opened it up in probably 3 years. And I'm looking through it, and I've got like 3 whole. I'm looking at it right now. I see 2 unopened rifle cleaning kits, 3 gun hoppies, those little hoppies cleaning kits. There's like the small ones. I used to carry cleaning kits, a bunch of them, with me to the range in case people needed to clean their gun for whatever reason. And I'm just looking at these cleaning kits that are just unopened, just sitting over there that I've had for years. That, I guess cleaning kits would probably be one of my things also. I mean, I got a lot of vices apparently, and it's not always a good thing.
No, I hear you, because I'm about the same way on backpacks, because I'm looking in my man closet here, what I call it anyway, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 backpacks of varying different sizes with camelbacks and just set up many different ways, and it's just like, and they're all full.
Absolutely. Well, see, here's the thing is I have backpacks for different specific things. I have one for going to the range with a pistol, one going to the range with a rifle, going to the range with this, that, and the other. One of them is going to the range for other people's stuff, like extra hearing protection, extra eye protection, extra, first aid kits. You're talking about trauma kits. You're talking about turning. I mean, all sorts. I mean, I've got backpacks for all of these things. I just can't stop buying backpacks. And Clover knows this. How many backpacks have I bought at Wanamaker at that $25 backpack table? I always have to find a reason to buy a backpack there. You're almost as bad as I am. I mean,
that knives,
good backpacks, knives and backpacks. Everyone walks away with some cool guns for Wanamaker. I leave Wanamaker and I have 5 knives and 3 backpacks with me. And it's like, what? Why? But I can't help myself. I cannot help myself. Yeah.
Well, but they are good for storage, though.
They are.
I mean, if you want to set something up just for a specific thing, man, that works great, because you can just throw all that stuff in one backpack. You know where it's at, and you can just grab it and go.
Absolutely.
And something else that I collect that my grandpa actually had, and Clover's going to get a kick out of this. I've got, from the 1960s, the Outers shotgun cleaning rod, 3-piece jointed wood rod.
Oh, wow.
Cleaning kit, one that has been used by my grandpa, and one that is still in the box and still in the plastic, never used.
Wow.
That
I bet you Clover kind of knows what some of that stuff is worth. Probably worth, possibly.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's definitely worth something. Old, all the old gear. Yeah, I mean, especially that's a good place to go to Wanamaker. There's a lot of guys that collect and sell and trade, a lot of that old gear, old ammo and old gear, and advertising, and just all kinds of weird old things like that. And it brings good money. You would be surprised.
My wife was up in the attic. We haven't been in the attic. 10 years, probably. We don't really keep much in the attic, but she was up there looking for doing something. I don't know. And I was down there looking like, what the hell are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And she goes, hey, there's some shotguns and rifles up here. I'm like, what? And I'd forgotten. There's probably 3 or 4 shotguns, old shotguns and rifles of my grandpa. I don't even know what they are. I mean, there's no telling what they are, but they've been in the attic for 10 plus years. And I totally forgot about it. She goes, yeah, there's a shotgun right here. There's a couple more over there. There's a couple rifles over there. I'm like, holy shit, I forgot about those. I need to go bring them down and see what I got. You never know what I got, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Because I did the same thing when my grandpa passed away. Along with those cleaning kits and stuff that I got from him, I got a gun rack that locks up and everything that was his originally that he bought when he was like 20, 22, somewhere right around in there, and his all of his shotguns and stuff. So I kind of put that on display as it was in his house.
Nice.
So just to remind me of him, you know,
sure.
And I try to keep all of his stuff that I got from him in that deal all locked up.
Absolutely.
So, no, it's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, we all have our vices for sure and all that stuff. Everything else good with you? Family's good?
Yeah, family's doing really good. Just been super busy getting ready to just start in on the planting and stuff.
Yeah, it's that time of year, isn't it?
What's that?
It's that time of year.
Oh, yes, definitely. Finally finishing up with the cows and getting ready to start planting. So, yeah, about ready to get even busier.
Yeah, well, it's part of it, you know. It's part of it.
Yep, for sure.
Sounds good.
But anyway, well, thanks for having me on tonight.
Yeah, man.
I definitely appreciate talking about our vices and our collecting habits.
We've all got them. Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. Well, you and Clover have a good one tonight.
All right, bro. You be good.
Later, Pat.
All right. Later, guys.
Later.
Bye.
All right. Let's see here. I didn't think about this, and I don't have a ton of them, but I've got more than I should. Multi-tools. I have a buddy of mine that has probably got hundreds of multi-tools. That's his vice. It's not I've got more than I need, more than I should, but it's not one of those. Like when I go to Walmart and I see a multi-tool on sale, I'm not buying them all over the place like other things that I would buy. You know, like, oh, I'll just buy 6 of them. Why? Because they're on sale. You know, I got a buddy of mine that is that way. But yeah. Now, G-Wes brings up a great question, Clover. He said, what is the value of a good knife or watch if and when you need to trade it for food, gas, etc., versus carrying the cheapest thing you can buy? So, I mean, I think this is something that we can probably dive into for a little bit. I think that everyone's going to have whatever their obsession and addiction is in collecting, or just not collecting, but just they like to buy them. I can speak for this. Let's just take knives. I'm holding one. Like this one probably cost me $6, $7, right? Cheap knife. It gets what I need to get done. Stuff that we buy, we obviously have expensive ones, but they're not ones that I would use every day because they're expensive or whatever, or watches or whatever. But yeah, I think that everyone's, if they collect things, they're going to have a certain percentage of what they collect that's expensive. Whether you don't want to use them or you're collecting them or they're display items or whatever. I've got some very expensive knives, but the ones that I carry around every day are cheaper ones. I don't carry this one every day. It's just sitting on my desk, but the ones that I carry every day are usually anywhere from $30 to $50. So they're on the cheaper side, but they're still more expensive than a lot of knives you can get at Walmart, but they're on the cheaper side that I know are going to work for what I need them to be. And so, yeah, I think we all have items that are very cheap, like a $5 or $6 knife or a $2 knife you can get at Walmart or whatever. You're going to have that mid-level, that $50 to $150 knife, and you've got knives that are well over $200. I mean, you can go to thousands of dollars for knives. So I think the value is there. If you collect, you're going to probably, most people would think, are going to have a little bit of all three of those tiers, the low level, the mid level, and the high level, whether it's money or quality or whatever. I would imagine that having some of those in the situation where you need a barter, when the zombie apocalypse happens or the Red Dawn happens and the monetary system is non-existent, you've got to be able to barter with something. And some of those things can help you with food, gas, water, all that. So what do you think about the value of having good quality stuff if you are going to collect some stuff?
I think it's the same This is going to be the same answer basically I give when I get chastised for having gold and silver and things like that.
Sure.
They're like, what good's that? You can't eat it. Nobody's going to want to trade you for, or, whatever, or do this, gold and silver, times are tough and this, that, and the other. So you need to be thinking on two different levels. This is my opinion. Because we don't know what scenario we may be facing, right?
Yeah.
Almost certainly it's not going to be a zombie apocalypse, which would be the funnest of all scenarios, but it's probably the least likely. It's going to be, cyber hacking and the grid goes down for a year, or, some silly something, right? I say silly, that's pretty major, but you get what I'm saying, right? Potentially like a serious, like a legit pandemic, or, whatever you want to call it. Something like that.
Yeah.
Like Black Plague level, Spanish flu level, like, something, right?
Yes. Right. Yeah.
Like legit, not hyped up manufactured crap, legit. So, in any of those scenarios, the world comes back at some point, right? Yeah. You're not looking at, 30 years of nuclear winter type. I mean, is that a possibility? Is that a possibility? Sure, right? But I'm just saying, not all scenarios are, and that, well, I don't know how you put it. Terminal, I guess, would be a good word. Not all scenarios are terminal. So knowing that not all scenarios are terminal, do you just want things to get you by, to barter, to trade with, to do whatever? Or do you want things that are investment? Because as the world ramps back up, builds back up, comes back into play, if you have that gold, that silver, things that are collectible, things that have value to them, right?
Yeah.
Then whatever currency is used, whatever, to create the wealth, you sell those for that. You become wealthy in the post-apocalyptic whatever age at that point. So absolutely. Think on two different levels. Think getting through this, right? Should it be a temporary scenario, right?
Right.
Think about getting through this and being set up somewhat at the end of it. And then also think about something where you have to perpetually, like, it is a terminal situation and you're just going to survive as long as you can. But a lot of the tools and the things you need for just getting by and surviving, especially if you're like me, because for me, it's more a bug in type situation. I need to invest in water filtration and to make sure that I've got well water, or I can filter creek water to make sure I've got things I can hunt with, which is probably, let's be honest, if we're talking years and years and years, is going to be archery most likely, or maybe trapping even. And, growing vegetables. So I need tools and other things. So, yeah.
You brought up archery and I fell asleep. Sorry. Yeah. Just kidding.
Well,
no.
It's renewable.
You're right. But you're right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to try to catch up on some of these comments. So some of these were made a while ago, like 20, 30 minutes ago. So I'm going to catch up. My buddy Lance out there says, can you make a baby Trey? I'm sure there was a joke at 8:11 when that popped up. I don't remember what it was.
I've seen that when it came in and I didn't understand it, but
I made at least one, assuming that she's mine. But
he was talking about the 3D printing is what he was talking about. But
yeah, so G Webb said, FYI, the 5-inch tall dudes he has made take 9 hours to print. Nice. But that's something you can set before you go to bed and wake up in the morning. You've got one.
Basically,
that's awesome.
One of the 6.
One of the 6. So
assuming they didn't screw up. Yeah.
In a week, you'll have a full set.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see here. Defense Stats says, what I can't understand is pocket trash EDC gear. Some dudes spend $600 on a titanium fidget dice. Get out of your mom's basement. I agree. Try to catch up here. TJ says he's a fan of a brick hammer. And then Off the X Lance on the YouTube side says, can you 3D print a baby? That's what he's talking about. Yeah, I bet you could. Like a Cabbage Patch Kid, you could probably 3D print one of those. Take a while, but yeah, you could probably do that very easily. Defense status says, whatever reason, I have a thing for all white ball caps. I hardly wear a hat unless I'm shooting, though. Oh, there you go. Let's see here. Mandatory carries says, goes one of these days, it'll be me or Fix that calls in to fuck with you. Bring it on. You should call in, buddy. You should call in. Gary says he has an old camo mesh cap, Hornady cap that he won from Ghost back in 2017. Still my favorite summer cap. No, I remember that hat. The old Hornady camouflage. Yeah, I remember the old camouflage mesh Hornady hats. Absolutely. I had a ton of those at one point. Let's see here. Yeah, this is true. This is true for all of us now. He's have at least a half a dozen iPhone chargers and cords. There's no telling how many cords and chargers I have. I mean, it's stupid. But yeah, I think we're all in that same boat now. Bark at the Moon. Ozzy's here. What's up, buddy? Marcus collects all different kinds of magazines. And I'm assuming he's talking gun magazines, or he talking about reading magazines. Magazines definitely is one of those. Mags are definitely, especially AR and AK mags. Because they're kind of universal. Well, yeah,
I do have a collection of reading magazines, like old hand-loaded magazines, especially that have load data and all that kind of stuff in them. Yeah, I have a not a huge collection, but a small collection of those.
I thought you were going to say Playboy or something.
I do have a few of those too, but they're like more. Some of them are still they've never been opened. Interestingly enough, I got an uncle that won a lifetime subscription like decades ago, like literally decades ago. And he just like throwed them all in boxes, never opened them or anything. And at one point I went up there and I'm like, what are you going to do with those? He's like, yeah, whatever you want. So I researched like the movie stars and the female wrestlers,
yep.
You know what I mean? And I went up there and got every one of them and put them all, stash them all here. I'm like, one of these days I'll, eBay them or do something, because you can't sell those on eBay, which is weird.
We're both in the crazy mind, the world of baseball, collecting baseball cards. Can't tell you how many baseball cards I own. Yeah. But yeah, baseball cards is another one, but
more than I need to at this point. I can tell you that much. I need to. I've got some stuff sorted that needs to get on eBay.
Yeah. G23 collects cleaning kits. Got around 20 with different brands. I mean, I got all sorts of cleaning.
What aggravates me with cleaning kits is when you lose a brush, or you lose this, or you lose this little part out of an entire kit, and you're like, you hate that. It's like losing the socket out of a toolkit. It's like the whole kit, it's worthless. The set's worthless without that one. To me, without that one, it's like I got to go buy another one. My wife's like, "You're just missing one, whatever." It's like I'm like, "Yeah, but I can't handle it."
Rich says he might have a machete, and Tom, here's a machete right there. So yeah, got a machete within reach.
I do too, actually.
Yeah,
a SOG.
Ooh, nice one. I'm a big fan of SOG. I think SOGs are good. A lot of people don't like SOGs. I'm a SOG fan. I'm not a SOG fanboy.
So
I respect the quality you get from SOG.
So pro tip: there is a lot, and I mean a lot, of fake SOG out there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Sorry.
Because actually I have this SOG machete. I've actually got another one. I don't know where it's at. It's in an outbuilding, or maybe the toolbox in my truck. It's somewhere that is identical to this one. And it is in dimension wise, everything, right? It's identical. Like the handle is the same, everything.
Yeah.
But you can tell by like bending it and other stuff, it is not the same quality.
Yeah. Warsaw says, got to ask you, Ghost, what's your favorite pocket knife? I don't have like a one favorite pocket knife. I will say that I have about 3 pocket folding karambits that I always have at least one of them on me. That I would say like the 3 or 4 of them that I rotate through. I would say that there's not one particular that I like the best. I would say that my favorite pocket knife, is a folding karambit. How about that? Do you have a favorite knife there, Clove?
So the one I use the most, like around the house, is the one that's actually sitting here on the desk. Is the one you gave me, actually. And picked it up. I picked it up. Yeah, I mean, I use it, right? Which is
wow.
What is it? An M-Tech USA, whatever that is. I love the blade design on it. I'm a stickler. That's a really big deal breaker for me, right? It's like the blade. Like it's got to be the blade and also the handle to an extent. All that has to be aesthetically pleasing to me. And I'm kind of weird. I don't like serrations and crap like that for the most part. This knife does not have that. I don't know if you thought about that when you bought it from me or not. But anyway.
Well, I thought about the blade because I like certain types of blades. Yeah. So I saw that and it was pleasing to my eye. I did not take in the fact that you may like it. I didn't care if you liked it or not.
Nice, clean, no serrations, got a nice drop on it. It's just it's a great blade. So this one is in here. I use it a lot, opening boxes and other things in here. If I go out, I usually grab, I think I paid $10. I definitely paid less than $20 for a little it's a Kershaw, I think it's a Kershaw hot wire, I think. Walmart.
Kershaw, man, for the buck, Kershaw's tough to beat for the buck.
And I mean, really, it's like it's fairly small. It's a assisted folder. So, you flip it and it's got the spring and it'll assist itself or whatever. But it is no, it doesn't have it has a flip on it, a little flip thing, and then it's spring assisted. But anyway,
it looks like that, like the little flip knob.
Yeah. But it's not it's not super long and it's not super wide or anything like that. I mean, it's plenty enough to get in around a rib and do some damage if you needed to, but it's also small, doesn't take up a lot of room, it's not heavy. So I really like it, and it was cheap.
You guys can't see it, but I picked up a new knife last week. I'll go ahead and pull it out, but I got it specifically for the belt, but it's a little push dagger, and I like little push daggers. And this is from Urban Edge, but it's a perfect size little push dagger. So if you have to, it can get people away from you. It can do a lot of things, but it's more of a self-defense. Just if you have to get in that close to hand combat, push dagger is a good one to have. But
another one,
knife junkie for sure.
Was talking about the fake SOG.
This one goes on my plate carrier typically, and this is a good one. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. What was that?
I was talking about the fake SOG stuff earlier.
Yeah.
One of my favorite knives, and it's actually on this table somewhere. I've got a spring assisted fake SOG stiletto, double-sided stiletto that I love. I think I got it on eBay for like $20, and then I don't know, months later I found out SOG never made such a thing. And it says SOG on the blade and everywhere on it, but it's just a cool, awesome, again, blade profile and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I just like that knife. It's awesome.
So if you could have like your perfect knife, like, so you and I are very similar. Like I like certain types of blades, right? Mm-hmm. I would say the vast majority of my knives, I won't say the majority of my knives are one of two blades. I love a karambit. Mm-hmm. I've probably got more karambits than anything, but as far as regular blades, I love a Tonto blade. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite blade style? Do you have a favorite blade style?
I don't know that I know enough about knives to be able to tell you that, like the blade style.
Yeah.
Knife blade styles. Let's just do a quick Google image and see.
Yeah. While you're doing that, Buck out there says, "I've got 3 reloading presses going now." So he is going head deep into the reloading game right now.
Yeah, probably not a good time to be doing that, but to each their own. So drop point.
Okay.
Probably, and
very similar to a Tonto in a certain aspect of a Tonto.
Yeah, the difference being that the drop point curves on the sharp edge, where the Tonto cuts off
Like
at
that?
an angle. I don't know. I'm on the page with the pictures. Yeah, that would be a drop point.
That's what I'm saying. That's the drop point.
Yeah, that's a drop point. Yeah, so drop point. Yeah. And then that or maybe the spear.
Ooh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Either drop point or spear probably is my favorite, and no serrations, preferably.
I get it. I don't mind serrations on the.
I'm okay with the Tonto. Tonto would probably be the third going down.
Yeah.
I'd
I
probably
like a
drop
to
first,
me,
spear, and then
it's a
Tonto.
clean looking. I like a drop. Absolutely. That's probably my third favorite.
But there's a little more to it than that because it has to do with how long is the blade and how wide is it, right? That all comes into play.
You got to start talking about tangs. Is it a fixed blade or a folding knife? Some blades work better in a fixed blade versus a folding blade.
See, I'm not. So, if I'm going fixed blade, I'm going to like one of my buoys or survival knives or diving knives.
Yeah, sure.
Or something of that, or maybe even oh God, how can you go wrong with a holy crap, my mind went blank. Military holy crap, K-bar. How can you go wrong with a K-bar, right? I'm usually going with something like that on a fixed blade over a smaller fixed blade. Now I do got some specialized for hunting, skinning, and things like that. Fixed blades, and I got some Damascus. Obviously, we picked up and just because they look cool. But I'm usually reaching for a folder. Usually going to reach for a folder first.
Oh, my everyday knives are going to be folders for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not the guy that's going to wear a fixed blade on my belt. That's just not how I roll. Whatever. Yeah. But yeah, Defense Dad says his absolute favorite knife is a $24 Amazon special, a Tangram Orion G10 scales, ball bearing, action, and sharp. There you go. G23s. I'm a cheap bastard. Don't have any knives over $30. There's some decent ones out there.
I didn't.
You can get.
I didn't mention it, but I'm a sucker for a cleaver. Oh my God, I'm a sucker
for a cleaver. Pretty badass. Yeah,
I'm a sucker for a cleaver, man. You talk about things that you collect or whatever that are virtually worthless, other than the few cleavers I've got that again are scanning, hunting, or butchering. But oh my God, they're so cool.
Buck says, "See, Ghost is a FUD." I'm a FUD when it comes to knives. I got no problem talking knives. I love it. And Mandatory Cares, when I said, tell him to call, he says he just challenged a mentally ill person to call. Hey, come on with it, brother. Come on with it. Marcus says optics. Yeah, no joke. I can count
at one time.
I've got 9 optics right now in plain sight that have never been opened. They're still in boxes right now.
It should be illegal for Walmart to sell a 4-power Tasco for $10. Seriously. Because I swear to God, every time I walk by, I want to buy another one. I'm like, I don't need it. And I'm like, well, if I ever pick up a 22, which I'm prone to do, obviously, that doesn't have irons for some reason, I'm going to wish I had a extra Tasco 4-power sitting around.
Yeah. Ozzy says he's going to Springfield tomorrow for the iGold rally. Getting excited. The last one was in 2019. Let me know how that goes. Make sure you take some video of that. That'd be pretty cool. He can go live. Hopefully there's a big turnout. G23 says I have 2 folding karambits. That's my thing, man.
I don't have a single one.
I probably got 20 or 30 of them. Different sizes, different things. Yeah. Let's see here. No serrations on a karambit. I've got a karambit that's got serrations. Just saying. Don't say that they don't have serrations.
Most of them do, don't they?
Not most, but yeah, there's quite a few of them that are. Not in the fixed blade. There are a lot of them are. In a folding, there's not as many. It can get dangerous on a folding karambit if you're folding it and you have the serrations would then be on the top edge over the curved blade. That could be dangerous in a folding knife. But there are still some. I've got a few of them that are. Most of the folders do not. Most of the fixed, yes, they do have serrations. So, let's see here. Defense Dad says he's really picky about knives. I like simple drop point or clip point blades and streamlined designs. Yeah, there's nothing sexier than, and that's probably why I like the Tonto and the drop point. They're just clean designs. I mean, there's nothing, they're nothing fancy. It's just they're just really good designs. Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. Damascus. Now Clover knows this, and I would say a lot of people out there that they listen. I'm a sucker for Damascus knives. I think they are beautiful, especially if you start talking about when you start talking about maybe thousands of folds. You know, there are some of these that can get up to thousands of folds, and you can really get some awesome designs in Damascus if you do it that way. Yeah. Let's see. You know, there's another great brand. I've been carrying Benchmade Boost. Benchmade and Kershaw. We're talking about two just staples in the industry that you can get a Benchmade that costs you $10. You can get one that costs you $1,000. But you know what you're going to get from Benchmade. So yeah, Benchmade. Of the two, I probably prefer a Kershaw over Benchmade, but you can't go wrong with a Benchmade for sure. And I caught up. Holy shit. I caught up finally. So yeah. For me, we were talking about different things lately. Been kind of going through different things and the backpacks and all that. When I was getting into last fall, when I was getting into the long range game, you're talking about a whole nother backpack style. You're talking about support bags and Kestrel wind readers and barometric readers and all of that. So I mean, it's crazy. I've got why I don't know, but I've probably got 5 or 6 plate carriers and sets of plates. I don't know why. I just do. Battle belts, I probably got 9 or 10 of them. But here's the thing about the battle belts is I have them all set up for something different. You have one set up maybe for competition. Like a USPSA, because it's a race belt, but it's still a battle belt per se. IDPA, you can't really run one because you have to shoot from concealment. So you talk IDPA stuff. I've got several concealment vests. I mean, it's just one of those things. You go, whatever it is, I've got crap for all this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those things where,
dude,
the longer you're in something, you just start collecting. And I'm not, when I use the word collecting, I'm not talking about collecting to be a collection. It's collecting because you don't get rid of any of it.
So we didn't even cover targets. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I just got through cutting. I just got through cutting
more than I do.
Because I picked up I picked up a pair of the T-post brackets from high caliber steel targets in Tulsa. And so I just got through today cutting down 2 T-posts to put even more steel out on my range. But steel trap machines, shotgun style reactive targets, paper targets, holy crap. And if you're out there and you're a Patreon patron or a YouTube channel member, odds are I've sent you some because I'm overwhelmed. And every time I go to Tulsa, dude, I'm buying freaking steel targets or paper paper targets. No, not and both, literally.
Yeah.
I can't. It's a sickness. Seriously.
Your range in your backyard is going to end up looking like Arlington National Cemetery.
Oh my God.
Just white targets everywhere,
Yeah.
Mario says he saw a FUD truck, thought of Clover, then he ordered some Fuddruckers burgers.
There you go.
So if you guys weren't here, some of you that weren't here for a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about our trip to Alabama and South Carolina. And we've talked about South Carolina. I don't want to talk about the roads anymore, but the ultimate redneck / FUD vehicle Clover saw in South Carolina. You want to go over that one again? Because that is something that needs to become part of your life.
It was a jacked up 4-wheel drive dually. See, jacked up 4-wheel drive dually. I'm trying to do it justice. Multicolored primer.
He said multicolored primer. When he told me that, I was like, I don't even know what that means.
jacked up 4-wheel drive dually, multicolored primer. Wait for it. Let's see if anybody can guess in the live chat what it was. I bet somebody can.
What kind of vehicle it was?
A jacked up 4-wheel drive dually, multicolored primer. What?
He said, Stevens is a Subaru Brett. No, this is a vehicle that has, I'll give you one hint. It has a bed in it. It has a bed.
Yeah.
Mario said, pretty standard around here. Really? A jacked up dually multi-primer vehicle.
There you go. Defense Dad got it.
Yeah.
A jacked up 4-wheel drive dually, multicolored primer El Camino. And dude, when it passed, he had that carburetor running rich, boy, because it was throwing gas out the tailpipe, man. I swear is what it smelled like. But yeah. And I got to admit, it was pretty cool.
Oh, it has to be. Now, if you would have said multicolored, I would say, yeah, that sounds about right, because it probably a different colored door, different color hood. You see that all the time.
Oh, it was multicolored, like on one panel.
That's
it was
awesome.
Multicolored, like, there's a gray and the brown and the black.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm. It was like multicolored. And I'm talking about like on one panel. I'm not talking about each panel was a different color.
Gotta love South Carolina.
But what throws most people in that story is the dually. It's like
the dually.
A jacked up 4-wheel drive El Camino. Okay. A jacked up 4-wheel drive dually El Camino.
I, honest to God, didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta love it. Going on, coming up on 2 hours. Anything else gear wise that you're addicted to, Clove?
Everything. Good Lord, what are you talking about? Just about anything and everything. Quite honestly, we're all creatures of habit and addiction. We know this. So,
and if I'm not addicted to it yet, give me a few months, and I probably, whatever it is, I probably will eventually get around to it.
You can get into any. So the statement I made earlier about my ancestors, whoever they might be, or whatever, they're going to have a field day. In any outbuilding, you can see the phases of my addiction. There is somewhere here. That's what prompted, honestly, the whole card channel, right? As I was digging around an outbuilding and found a bunch of old cards, and I was like, and looking them up, seeing that it was a thing on YouTube, and it's like, okay, well, let's do that, and we'll rip these open. What else am I going to do with them? And then there's boxes out there somewhere that have wrestling figures in them. That I've been thinking about trying to find those maybe and send them to Rich White or something, quite honestly, because I know he's still big into all that. And then somewhere out there is boxes with, I would say Hot Wheels, but it's primarily all NASCAR stuff.
Yeah, sure.
So, no. It's NASCAR and NHRA. And it's not just Hot Wheel size cars, but it's bigger stuff too. And I think there's a General Lee out there somewhere. And then I've got boxes of M&M related paraphernalia. Mm-hmm. And then of course I've got boxes of Star Wars stuff too. So
yeah, the two things that I wish that I still had, I don't care that they're open and played with. I just wish I would have had all my Star Wars stuff, and I had a shit ton of Transformer stuff back in the 80s.
Oh, yeah. Now, none of what I got was my original. The only thing I've got that's my original, I've got you remember the original Luke Skywalker in the white?
Okay, sure.
Right? I've got him, and he's sitting on my desk right here. And the only reason I've still got him is I was probably 4 or 5 years old, maybe, when my mom and them built the house that I basically grew up in. Mm-hmm. And before they poured the concrete top onto the porch, it was all sand in there, and we would get in there and play. Well, when they sold the house to move in the double wide and tore all of that down, guess what was in the porch that they found?
No kidding. Are you kidding me?
My Luke's got, yeah, no kidding. And so I've got I've got my original Luke Skywalker, but other than that, that was all handed down to like younger siblings, and then
Yeah, absolutely.
it
Yeah.
filtered into like cousins and nieces and nephews and crap,
And ended up in the trash eventually,
it's
probably.
scattered all over God's creation. So I do not. That's the only Star Wars thing that was mine. Now, again, I do have stuff out in boxes, but that was stuff that was bought years later.
Yeah,
I was
that's
an
awesome.
adult when I found that stuff.
Yeah. Pat wanted about the El Camino. Did it have dually fenders on it?
Yes, it was fendered where the
Nice.
Yeah.
G said he has a 72. Of course, I could see G rolling in a 72 Camino. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He said, but he wanted an 84 and a 67. I can definitely see G in a Camino for sure.
I got a buddy that's got a 70, maybe a 79. I don't remember exactly. It's the late 70s, but it is it's cherry, man. It's cherry. It was his dad's. It's nice.
Ozzy says he got over 500 of the 164th NASCAR cars.
Nice. Very nice.
I had a shit ton of the Matchbox and all of those things. Yeah.
Everything I got is new in the package for sure.
Oh, mine never. Mine were out of the package before I got in the car. Typically when I bought them. So yeah, I was never one for thinking about down the line if I should keep this. It was like I'm gonna play with it now.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. 2 hours. Talked about gear, more than just having fun talking, but we've all got gear obsessions for sure.
We only talked about a gear for like an hour, but yeah.
I know. Well, we always do that. It takes an hour for us to get going on anything. So
yeah, right.
That's what it is. I think people enjoy it though.
Definitely.
Mandatory because dad just wanted to stuff food in his face. Well, it's never a bad thing to eat. Gotta eat, my man. Gotta eat. What you got coming up? Anything special with reviews? I know you spent the weekend. Oh, we didn't talk about that. I wasn't there. Take a few minutes if you'd like to and talk about Wanamaker over the weekend. I know that there was a pretty cool tribute to Joe and all that stuff, and it sounded like it's kind of back to normal. So talk about Wanamaker for a few minutes, and then obviously the content coming out of that.
Yeah, I mean the crowds that were through there were definitely back to pre-cough level, if not more. Even on Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning, something like that, there was people having trouble finding parking spaces. I mean, anywhere relatively even remotely close. And just the traffic you notice, through there and stuff. Thankfully, I did any filming. I'll have 3 or 4 videos, I think, from there, and they were all done by 10 o'clock or so, honestly, because I got in there pretty early on Sunday. Because if not, the audio would have been worse than what it already was. Yeah, everybody seemed to be in good spirits. Prices from what I've seen, a lot of things that I posted, people said, "What's the price? What's the price?" I didn't even look. I've seen some $100,000 things. I've seen many 5-figure, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 things in there, which is probably worth that, quite honestly. And then I've seen a lot of stuff that wasn't, like $1,000 Mosins and $1,000 SKSs and whatever.
That's kind of how I gauge the prices on SKSs and M1 Grands.
Now,
those ones how I can judge how prices are.
Now, a lot of people know I have my wish list when I go into Tulsa. And typically I come home with something, because I usually run across something that I just can't pass up, right? I did not run across anything this time. And not to say I haven't done that before. There's been other times I went to Tulsa that I've come home and not bought anything. But I did not find anything, right? And I was Sunday, by noon or so, I mean, I was actively looking like, okay, well, I can't find what I want. I wonder if there's just a deal on a nice little 22 or something, right? Spend a couple $100 on something here, and I just
found some stuff that people wouldn't come down on prices or whatever.
Yeah, it was just crazy on the prices.
So let me ask you this before you go on: the stuff that you had a list for, did you just not see them at all, or you saw them and they were way overpriced?
So I had technically, I guess you could say I had 3 things on the list. I
Okay.
was looking for my son had reached out to me a couple days before and said, he's like, "You planning on going to a gun show anytime soon?" And I'm like, "Well, a matter of fact, this weekend I'm going to the largest gun show in the world. Why? What's up?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm looking for a pump shotgun." And I said,
Like
"Okay."
a particular one.
"Well, yeah." I mean, he wanted something decent. I mean, but the cheapest thing I found there was a Mossberg Maverick, and they wanted $200 for it. And I'm like, I'm just not in this climate, maybe, but I'm not paying $200. You know me, I'm a very opportunistic buyer. And then the 2 I was looking for was a 16 gauge H&R single shot and a 410 H&R single shot. I've
Yeah.
seen absolutely 0 16 gauge single shots of any kind, period.
Really?
And that doesn't mean there wasn't one in there. You got to
Right.
remember,
You didn't see them. Yeah.
this is the largest gun show in the world, and quite
That's it.
often on the very last day, the very last hour, I find something and buy it that I've never,
You have done that many times.
that I hadn't
Yes.
seen the whole show and walked by the whole show a lot of times. But yeah, I did not see one at all. And I only seen one H&R 410, and I want to get into how horrible it was and how horribly overpriced it was on top of the condition. So,
Yeah.
needless to say, I didn't buy it. So, it was fun hanging out. That's always a good part of it. We didn't have a table this time, so that was kind of weird and odd. Shout out and thanks to Black Rain Ordnance and also high caliber targets, because I was able to hide my stuff under their tables a couple times when I was tired of toting it around. So that was great. And kind of make that a base camp and go there and sit around occasionally and chill or whatever. But yeah, we got together. We like we normally do, and went out to eat and other things. It was it was.
Did you have a Philly a cheesesteak?
I did have a Philly cheesesteak on Saturday. I did not do the pulled pork on Sunday, and usually I have both when I go. Yeah, we left early on Sunday, just simply because I mean I was able to knock everything out I needed to get done, and it's like let's
get home at a decent hour.
Let's just go and try to get home at a decent time. Yeah. I hadn't found anything, that was kind of discouraging. I felt like I pretty much hit all the places that would have, because you can kind of tell by looking at the tables and the different things what sections might have what you're looking for. But there was a lot of stuff there. Like I said, a lot of interesting
tables this time, so that's good.
That was true. I didn't mention that, but there was not only more tables this time.
Yeah.
There was on Saturday. There was literally, I don't think I've seen a single table that was empty.
Nice.
So more table and none were empty. Now come Sunday, a lot of them were, but we know that a lot of dealers go in on Friday and Saturday,
and they're gone.
They headhunt. They buy a table specifically to headhunt certain things they're looking for, and then they do that Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday they're gone. So that's not uncommon.
G23 wants to know, you enjoy hanging out with Santee and her husband?
Yeah, I got to hang out a little bit during the show, not a whole lot during the show. I did see, in fact, I shared it on my community tab. She put about an 8-minute video out, kind of walking through and going through the show, which was kind of cool. But she did, her and her husband went to eat with us and be silly and hang out and be silly and all that kind of stuff.
For those of you that have never been, that want to go, obviously we say it all the time, that want to make her happens twice a year, every April, every November. It should be a bucket list for everybody.
Yes, definitely.
But it's one of those things where, the show's great, but Saturday night, we always, whoever's there in our crew, sometimes we have 5, sometimes we have 35. We go out to eat, typically at one of a couple different places, typically one place, but we go out to eat and just enjoy being friends and all of that. And that's the really cool part of it is seeing everybody. You don't get to see once or twice a year,
Yeah, there was 11. I'd say 11 or 12 at dinner, something like that. Now, not all were creators,
and that's about what we usually have. Is about a dozen usually.
Cycle Camp was there.
That's awesome. I miss Bill,
which was fun because I hadn't seen him in a while, and he's not really creating or hanging out anymore, but that's always fun. And of course, Mr. Wright, same way. And can't remember the guy's name. That's Mr. Wright. He's got an Instagram.
Yeah, his buddy was there again. Yeah,
but yeah, him. And then of course everybody's spouses were there and whatever too, and Snob and Gizzard and Santee, and yeah, it was
G23 wanted to know, did anybody tell Roadhouse that it was her birthday? We always have someone.
We should have, but we didn't. We should have, but we didn't.
You kind of have to be christened into that gang,
It would have been more fun to tell them it was her husband's birthday. Honestly.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He was a trip. He's from the Virgin Islands.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he's, I had a conversation with him about the Virgin Islands. I'm like, so you grew up? I said, what's that like? I said, I grew up in Texas. I can't imagine. He's like, yeah, I grew up on an island. And he said it was 35 square miles. It's like smaller than my county. And I'm like, I can't imagine, bro. It's like, he's like, yeah, but it's, it's a lot bigger than you think. And I'm like, well, if you've ever been anywhere else, I'm sure it probably is, right? And everything. Yeah. But yeah, he's got that accent and everything. He's just, he's a cool dude.
Yeah. I miss meeting them. I had to work, but hopefully they come back to another one, and hopefully I get to see them sometime soon.
Hopefully so.
What all you got coming down the channel? Maybe for podcasts or videos or any Gear Report stuff?
Yeah.
What all you got coming down the line?
Well, I'm gonna close out. I don't have any podcasts scheduled outside of next week. Because I need to try to get some things caught up into next month. We're looking at NRA, so there'll be content coming out of there, and I need to get some things taken care of that's been obligations for a while. So I'm going to kind of sideline the podcast until after NRA, and I'll make some connections and do some more stuff. But yeah, as far as what's coming up, I've got tomorrow. I've got Sarah with Hold My Guns.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday, I've got the Armed Attorneys.
Nice.
And then next Wednesday, which will be the last podcast most likely until after NRA, I've got My Medic. I've got Zeph with My Medic rescheduled.
They got sick or something before, didn't they?
Yeah, he got sick like a couple days before and whatever. And so we had to shift some things around. But yeah, we're going to catch up with that, and then that'll be the last one. I'm talking with Big Tony Simon about getting him back on the podcast and after NRA and some other folks.
Sure,
so
absolutely. Well, you'll have a lot of people at NRA to get back on the podcast.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll kick it back off after then. But yeah, till then, got those 2 podcasts. That one next week. Got three more Wanamaker videos, and then you'll start seeing some normal regular content at least up until NRA dropping again.
Yep. Awesome. Yeah, we've got some stuff coming out with different guns, some different torture tests. We're putting some different guns through Crucible. For us, if you're over on Gear Report, we've got an article we did on the Wilder Tactical Urban Elite battle belt kit. It's over there. It's been up. It was put up yesterday. So if you're interested in battle belts, or you're a gear junkie that likes battle belts, go check out that one from Wilder Tactical. It's awesome. But yeah, we got, like I said, we got a lot of stuff going to the Crucible coming up, which will have the SAR 109T, the AR pistol. Will have the Ronin 10mm. We'll put through there. We got one from Lionheart coming. Got a couple from Global coming. One or two possibly from EAA coming. Also, so the next through the end of the year, Clover's the same way. There's going to be no shortage of firearms coming in. So be on the lookout. We'll do all of them. We'll do a torture test. We call the Crucible and all that stuff. But yeah, podcast will have stuff come up. We're supposed to have someone on today that canceled, that death in the family over the weekend. But we'll have like Trailblazers scheduled to come on, Wilder Tactical scheduled to come on, Chase with EAA scheduled to come on. We got a whole bunch of people coming on, so the podcasts aren't going to stop. I wish I could make NRA this year. It's Memorial Day weekend, and I don't want to get into that because that's really still a sore subject in my head. I can't go to NRA because it's one of the busiest weekends that I have at work, so it sucks, but it is what it is. So I might have to utilize Clover as my eyes and ears of NRA, which I'm sure he will love to do, knowing him. But yeah, thanks guys for watching. If you made it this far, great. Leave a comment down below, guys. If you're listening in podcast or watching a replay, what's your addiction? What's your obsession of? What's the pieces of gear that you collect the most? And had a great conversation, a lot of cool stuff. Rich White says we released competing belt videos. It happens. There's more than one belt out there. So absolutely. There's belts for every budget, for every possible occasion. So yeah. G Web says it's lame to schedule any event on Memorial Day for a lot of different reasons.
I agree.
Being that it's Memorial Day in general is not a celebratory, and that's what I always tell it. Hey, we want to celebrate the lives, but having events on Memorial Day weekend, I don't get it. I don't get it. Memorial Day means something different to me, I guess, than it does the NRA. It means work, but it also is. It's not something that I want to go to a gun show or an event. But yeah, it is what it is. They chose Memorial Day, and it is what it is. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I kind of agree. Lame move.
Lame move, and maybe that was, maybe that's when they could get it the cheapest. But there's a reason why it's the cheapest, because it's.
I think honestly, it's multiple reasons. I honestly think they don't want that many people showing up with the heat they're in, and I think cost was another one. And yeah.
It'd be interesting they probably don't want a whole lot of people there that are voting members, possibly.
Right. Yeah, I think so. I think that's part of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, for the 15 people that are still out there, go get some medical attention. You guys are crazy. Get your head checked out a little bit. Thanks for everyone that was watching. If you're watching the replay and listening and podcast, I don't do this very often. And I should. I'm going to say, if you're listening, and we get a bunch of podcast listens. I'm not going to lie. On podcasts, like audio podcasts, we get a lot of listens and all of that on different platforms. And I don't remember ever doing this before, but I'm going to start because apparently it's a thing. And I've been told by other people that have podcasts that I respect that I should do this, and I never have. So I'm going to say, if you're listening to this in podcast form, no matter what platform you are listening, if you enjoy it, please subscribe, whatever, on that podcast, but give us a rating. And I never asked anyone to do that, but apparently in the podcast world, and I'm naive to this, in the podcast world, especially on Apple and a couple other ones, leaving a rating really helps. So if you're listening to this in a podcast form and they give you the opportunity to do a review, whether it's a star system or whatever it is, and you like what you hear, we're going to ask you, please leave us a good review. And hopefully that helps the algorithm that podcast platform does. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to my patrons and my channel members for all that you do. You guys keep the lights on for us, no doubt. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching and all that. We will see you next week for episode number 237. Semper Fi.